An amniotic fluid embolus is when amniotic fluid actually gets into the bloodstream and it enters and passes through the lungs and then causes a cardiac arrest. It might be likened to an anaphylactic reaction where there's a total close down of all systems. It is a extremely serious condition with a 60% mortality, which in this day and age is rare. She was not moving. I felt for a pulse in her carotid artery in her neck. There was no pulse. I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders, and all I had were my hands.
I was somewhere else. I had gone to this beautiful place. I was on a staircase. I was extremely afraid of heights, but I was sitting on the very edge of the staircase, very high up into the sky, and I could look down, and it was very long drop down, but I wasn't scared at all. I looked up to the very top of the staircase, and there was this radiating ball of light. I thought it was the sun. It was extremely bright to look at, but it didn't hurt my eyes. I could just look straight into this ball of light. I could see rolling hills. There was all this lush greenery. As I looked down from the staircase, I could see plants. And even though it was so far down that your eye could not distinguish the type of plant, in my mind, I knew what the plant was. And I can remember seeing, a sage bush and thinking in my mind, oh, there's a sage bush. I was just suspended on the staircase going up into this radiating ball of light. And it didn't feel weird to me. It is the best feeling I've ever had.
The lungs have stopped breathing, the heart has stopped beating, and there is no brain activity.
Now, one of the other things that was happening is there were dogs and cats on that staircase. The cats would come up around my legs and they would rub against my legs. I didn't recognize any of the dogs and cats for any of the animals I had had or anyone that I knew had had, but there were animals there. And the dogs would be bounding up those stairs. As the dogs were going into the light, they would kind of look back at me and then they would just jump into the light. It's almost if they wanted me to get up and walk with them right into that light. Of course, I was sitting there and I was just enjoying the moment so much I wasn't going anyplace. I had no concept of what had just happened. I wasn't thinking about having the baby. I wasn't thinking about my life. I was just taking the moment in. Time stands still. There is no concept of time in this place. It it doesn't exist.
I was waiting for the code blue team to come, which, of course, from my perspective, seemed like an eternity. So I used all of my positive energy for Deb, my hands, my voice. I had always imagined that hearing is the last thing to go. So I was talking to her, telling her, Deb, you need to come back. Except I had an educated mind that was going and fast forward, trying to figure out what caused it. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go from here? Why is this happening?
My left arm went through the back windshield. My bicep was cut in half. My sunglasses cut my eyelid or my ripped my eyelid out.
there was a call through the 911 center and then directly to my pager that there was a severe accident on Route 422, which is approximately 2 miles from my residence. We found Michaela, who was in the back seat of a vehicle and had suffered severe
You
trauma.
ask me this every time you come on
She was having
here.
very slow respirations, less than 8.
He asks the same questions over and over and over again.
Still shocky with a very faint pulse. Michaela's injuries that you could see visibly, which were very gruesome, in the fact that she had a laceration that extended right across her right eye, even into her right eyelid, with visible of the eyeball itself, and then again the laceration extended across the front part of her forehead, with the skin
I answered
moved
you
up across the front part of her
before.
forehead, had
You
a
keep
gap
asking.
of at least 2 inches of exposed skull in the front part of her head. She was in shock because she was not having any active bleeding from these major lacerations and major injury that you could just see. This is why they call this the golden hour of trauma. It becomes an orchestrated response to be able to be at a trauma center from the time you have an accident in a rural area to be at an operating bedside of a trauma surgeon in under 50 minutes. In fact, I wondered if she was near death at this time.
I felt this wind on my face, and I opened my eyes, and I was on a gurney, and there was a helicopter with its blades going, and I thought I was dreaming, and so I just went back to sleep. I was still me, but everything was different. They say your life flashes before your eyes. It was in an instant I saw so many different aspects of my life. It was me when I was a child playing Ring Around the Rosie, or uh, dancing and watching myself in the mirror and singing songs with my dad. It didn't feel like a dream feels because I was part of it, and it was just as it felt the same as me walking